on Weather Scope, a snowstorm in the mid-Atlantic state dumps more than 6 inches on some areas. We'll have the latest on the track of the storm, and it looks like another quiet week with seasonal temperatures for much of the nation. We'll tell you what you can expect in your area. These stories plus in-depth forecast and analysis on this edition of Weather Scope.
There's still some snow falling in parts of the mid-Atlantic, but that will all be coming to an end in the next few hours. Good evening, I'm Paul Emick. After the system moves out, it looks like it will be a pretty quiet week for most of the country. Right now, our focus is on parts of the mid-Atlantic where the snow is still coming down. Sharon Resultant is standing by in the forecast center with the latest on where the snow is still falling. Sharon?
Paul, thanks a lot. We're going to cover that and cover when we think this all might be ending. We're also in the upcoming minutes going to take you live to D.C. to show you some shots of where folks have dealt with up to 7 inches of snow around the Dulles area. But first, some video shot out of Washington, D.C. earlier today. And what I want you to notice here is, first of all, the big flakes coming down, meaning this is a wet snow, high water content. Secondly, the fact that, notice it's sticking not on the pavement, but only on the grassy areas. So throughout the day, this has not been much of a travel problem, even for out and about taking a stroll or a jog. But as we work our way now through the nighttime hours and temperatures are at freezing or just below, we may see some
Stay ahead of winter weather. Watch the winter weather update at 50 past the hour on the Weather Channel. Our team of experts continuously monitor winter's fast-moving weather systems and bring you an up-to-the-minute forecast every hour. One complete report that lets you know when and where temperatures will plunge, where snowstorms are developing, how much snow they'll bring, where travel may be dangerous, and when the storm will end. The winter weather update at 50 past the hour, only on the Weather Channel.
Weather Scope. A snowstorm in the mid-Atlantic state dumps more than 6 inches on some areas. We'll have the latest on the track of the storm, and it looks like another quiet week with seasonal temperatures for much of the nation. We'll tell you what you can expect in your area. These stories plus in-depth forecast and analysis on this edition of Weather Scope.
Welcome to this edition of Weather Scope. I'm Paul Emick at the Weather Channel. Snow is still falling in parts of the mid-Atlantic, but that will all be coming to an end in the next few hours. After the system moves on, it looks like it will be like a pretty quiet week for most of the country. But right now, our focus is on the mid-Atlantic and some snows across that region. And here's Sharon Resultant standing by in the forecast center with the absolute latest on where the snow is still falling. Sharon?
actually talking a little bit about the snow and as it's exiting. In a moment, we're going to be joining our senior forecaster, and he'll give us some insight on what we can expect through the rest of tonight and then on into early tomorrow morning as far as your traveling weather might be concerned. Start you out first with some scenes out of Washington, D.C. The nation's capital has several inches of snow on the ground, but temperatures so far in the region or throughout the day have generally been above the 32-degree mark, now about 32 around National. Dulles has been consistently below the freezing point, so we have had some of the snow sticking to the pavement areas around the Dulles area. But what you can see out of this video is that it was safe for a walk. It was safe for a jog. The sidewalks not slippery, the roadways not slippery, all the snow accumulating on the grassy surfaces. However, now that nightfall has hit this region, we're going to find temperatures falling, and we may find where there's still some water on the roadways and sidewalks, some icy conditions, and that will be the focus around the D.C. area overnight. Look at some of the eastern snows here. Harrisonburg, Virginia, winning the prize this go-around, 8 inches there. Washington, D.C. at Dulles, 7 inches. Again, that was an area where they were consistently below the 32-degree mark. Philadelphia, 4 inches there. Baltimore, Maryland, about 4 inches. Atlantic City, 3, and so far into New York City, only picking up an inch of snowfall. And this particular system giving a little light dusting to some parts of southern New England. Well, joining us now is our senior forecaster, Matt Crowther. And Matt, you just saw some of those tallies. Pretty impressive for some parts of the Northeast.
That's right, but we looked out in some of the big cities because right now it doesn't look like the moisture is going to be coming in from the Atlantic. We'll show that in a minute on our satellite picture, but the higher snow totals were from Harrisonburg and the western suburbs of Washington, D.C. Dulles Airport is on the west side of town, and the western suburbs of Philadelphia, where some elevation was involved. But if we look at our satellite picture, we can get an explanation as to why that's occurring. You notice all the yellow and dark blue colors are pretty far offshore there, and what that indicates is that the thunderstorms that are blowing up over the Gulf Stream are not wrapping back around into the storm system, and that's preventing some higher snow totals. We could have gotten up to a foot if that had occurred. But we're not out of the woods yet. We do have a little bit of a spin. If you look right around the northern tip of Delaware and north of the Washington, D.C. area, there is a spin in the clouds there, and that's our strong upper level disturbance, and that is going to be crossing across New York City and down south of Boston during the next 12 hours or so, and that's going to keep our snow going. And we can see the snow on the radar. If we want to go to the radar, there we go, and Philadelphia is still getting some light snow, and looks like the heaviest amounts are going to be going up toward eastern Long Island and parts of Cape Cod, but Boston probably might get maybe up to maybe a dusting at the most, but it is probably going to stay to the south of the Boston area. And we have a little more of a close-up view of the New York City area. And this is our Doppler radar, and there are some pretty good
right in this region, right around Monmouth County, it looks like a little heavier snow occurring right now.
That's right, and that's with that upper level disturbance we saw in the satellite picture earlier, and that will be moving across eastern Long Island, and we could see as much as maybe 3 or 4 more inches in that area, and then that will be moving on up to Cape Cod. And looking at the radar in the Cape Cod area, as you can see, it's almost all south of the area. We're not getting any snow reports right now, but as the low pressure system deepens out over the Gulf Stream later tonight, that will keep the snow going down over the Cape Cod region, and again, we are expecting as much as 3 or 4 inches, but right now it looks like Boston is out of the woods.
It's really interesting to note that around Nantucket and around the Cape area, that's where we're going to find the heavier snow amounts than Boston proper. As you get up toward the Mass Pike, it really diminishes quite quickly. And another factor of this, we're going to take a look quickly at the snowfall forecast, and again we can find that those greater amounts are going to be right along the coast, and we do have advisories, some of the coastal areas of Rhode Island and Massachusetts and back down toward Long Island. But as this low deepens a bit, coastal flooding may also be a threat. Isn't that true?
That's right. The low is going to be deepening over the Gulf Stream, and strong north to northeast winds will pile some of that water up, especially on the north side of Long Island, maybe back toward the western end of the Long Island Sound. Okay,
good advice. And the best advice we can give folks out there is the fact that temperatures are dropping. It could slicken up on those untreated roadways, right?
That's right, especially some of the secondary roads.
All right. Thanks a lot, Matt. We're going to toss it to the